knowledge, training from your military professional will help you in this mission. How are you going to draw upon your experience and strengths?
I think the number one quality for a good crewmate is to be a team player, and that's in the military or in space. And that's exactly how I feel with my two crewmates, is that we're one team ready to go and do the mission.
Marinin, Новости космонавтики, news of cosmonautics. Congratulations, crew members Sergei, Oleg, you're just great. My question is as follows. We know quite a lot about your scientific program, and we know less about the U.S. experiments. But Pavel, Sasha, you are very experienced, and this, one of you is very experienced, one of you is not. So what are you going to devote your free time on board to? Well, I don't think that my interests have changed from the previous missions. I will be most of all interested in the atmospheric processes, what is happening over our planet, and I will try to observe thunderstorms that are happening in the upper layers of the atmosphere. It's a very interesting phenomenon. It has not been deeply studied, and I will do my best to, this is my personal goal, to expand this research. And of course, I can look at our planet for hours, and that's what I would probably devote my free time to.
Yeah, I agree. Our channel, Kanal Adin, is the window.
Igor, half of my answer is in your question. You said yourself, I'm not an experienced crew member, so I am sure that for the first half of the mission, I will devote most of my free time preparing for the next workday.
Rob Navius from NASA Television. I have a couple of questions for Chris Cassidy. Chris, first of all, take us inside the Soyuz for a moment with you and your crewmates and discuss the complexity of this expedited 6-hour sprint to the space station from not only a crew workload standpoint, but also a crew comfort standpoint. And I have a follow-up.
Thanks, Rob. From a crew technical point of view, we feel pretty comfortable with this. All of the procedures are very similar to what we do on the 2-day process. And we've trained it a number of times. So that part we're very comfortable with. But what's very challenging to practice on the ground is the coordination of getting from the SA up to the BO at the appropriate time to stretch our legs and to do any personal hygiene that we need to do. And for those of you that haven't had the opportunity to see the Soyuz, it requires a coordination between the three of us to close and open the hatch and get up to the BO. And we have a few opportunities where we know we can take advantage of that and have some time to get up there and do just those things.
And for Chris, your 5.5 months on orbit will see the arrival of virtually every visiting vehicle that services the space station, plus for you and your crewmates, a series of spacewalks on both the U.S. and Russian segments. Discuss, if you will, the complexity and pace of this type of work over almost a half year on what will constitute one of the most complicated expeditions ever.
Well, you're right. There's quite a few spacewalks and visiting vehicles that will occupy the schedule. But the nice thing about that is our time horizon, instead of being 5.5 months long, becomes 1 week or 2 weeks until we look for the next major event. So I think with all these visiting vehicles, in English we say we're two guys in a truck. We'll just be moving cargo back and forth and unloading and reloading cargo, and that's fine because that means fresh fruit and vegetables will come on board. So we're very excited about that.
Thank you.
Andrew Farmer from Russia Today. If I could ask this question in English, please. Could you explain the key experiments that you will be doing, or perhaps the most interesting ones for the layman down on Earth, that will take place over the next 5.5 months, and also what you plan to do in your downtime, because there's been a bit of a musical precedent set in recent weeks up there. So I'd be interested to know what you plan to do.
For me, the most important, some of the most important experiments that we'll be doing will be on the human body and how can we make people safe and more healthy on the ground. For instance, with bone health, those are several experiments that I will personally be participating in that I think is very important. And as far as the second part of your question, unfortunately, all the musical talent left Earth in December, and I only sing in the shower, and we don't have a shower on the space station, so there'll be no singing, I don't think, while we're there.
Well, you will still have to sing Happy Birthday for the commander, but we'll see how it goes. Next question, please. Valerie, it's our task. Well, you have changed your schedule for the day, work and rest schedule completely. Tell me whether it was difficult or not. And I see smiles from the support team and from the crews. Well, I think, first of all, the first 2 or 3 days, when we were transitioning to that new schedule and sleeping schedule, were the most difficult. And of course, it was most difficult for our support team and support specialists, because they have to work not only when we are asleep, but also when we are not asleep. So we have a strong feeling that they didn't sleep at all. So I think it is just another test for this new expedited launch. And I don't know that maybe later on our medical specialists will review all the aspects of such a plan and decide whether it's worth it. But of course, it's not an easy to change the whole schedule. It's not that we're sleeping badly, but our crew surgeons are monitoring us all the time. But I think that it's rather strenuous, not only for our support specialists, but for everybody. And maybe we will be able to find a new approach to this complete overhaul of the schedule. Pavel Vladimirovich told you a very mild version of the story. For you to understand, they go to bed at 9 and wake up at 5 p.m. And have breakfast at 6 p.m. So it's completely a crazy schedule.
Well, I have 2 questions. The first one, I know we've been talking a little bit about this 6-hour ride and how ready you are, but I would like to focus on the challenges that these 6 hours mean to you. And if you can just point out a few of the challenges, the main challenges that a 6-hour ride mean, instead of how cool it's going to be that you're going to get there faster. And how does it feel to know that you guys are going to be making history, being the first manned tripulation expedition going up there in 6 hours?
Well, we are the first crew that is going to use the expedited plan, launch and docking, but in 69, 68, in the 70s, there were missions, like, for example, the Gemini program. Soviet spacecrafts docked according to this plan. As for the advantages of this plan, one of the advantages is that the crew does not have enough time to be negatively influenced by zero-G. Of course, it will show itself and we will have the side effects, but within the first 4 or 5 hours, we are going to be fully operational and without any negative side effects. As for some other advantages, for example, expedited delivery of biomedical drugs or some other equipment and experiments that need to be started as soon as possible. And of course, you can't even overestimate the benefits of such expedited launch for the science and researchers who are working on the biological and medical problems. Within such a very short period of time, probably the ice cream will not melt and the crew can get it.
Thank you. My second question is more of a general question for our audience. If you had to explain to a general audience what Baikonur means in the exploration of the space, what this cosmodrome means, how would you explain it? Just please forget about the big words and explain it to a person that, a general audience.
Well, Baikonur is everything for piloted space exploration. That was the first cosmodrome from where we launched Gagarin and Titov. This is enough to show how we feel about Baikonur. It's almost like a sacred place for us. This is the gateway to space exploration. I don't have anything else to say. Well, for example, our backup crew, Sergei Ryazansky's grandfather was one of the constructor general who started working at Baikonur. And Sergei is here now with us. Maybe he can say a couple of words about how he feels about this place, but it's pretty clear. Baikonur, of course, is a part of a great history. It's a big part of all of us, and it's a great honor for us to continue the history of space exploration, to which my family is also a part, and it's a big part of the history of our country. Well, since the backup crew has the microphone, let's ask questions. Let's ask them questions, and we would not like to overlook them because they are our future. And I would like to ask Sergei and Michael, people who are at Baikonur for the first time. I'm not talking about Oleg because he is an experienced one, but how do you feel about the cosmodrome? I know that Michael was so excited about everything. Tell us what you thought, what you were impressed by when you saw Baikonur. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to, start. We've been here for almost 2 weeks now, and every day there's been something new, something exciting for me to see. Every day there's also been new traditions that I've got to experience that help tie the astronauts, cosmonauts of today with those that have gone before us and those that will follow us. And on a personal note, probably the most impressive thing that I've got to watch is the Soyuz rollout and watching it stood up on the launch pad. Absolutely amazing event.
And of course, for us, being here is a continuation of our training. And it is interesting, it is great, it is exciting course or study that will culminate in September. Well, Michael explained everything in a more detailed way when he spoke about traditions, and I know that you had an unplanned stop when you went to the city, to the museum. Could you tell us more about it? Well, besides the usual places and sites that cosmonauts and astronauts usually visit, we went to the monument to my grandfather. It was very important for my father, and it was on my request. And of course, I was greatly pleased, and I'm thankful that the crew visited it with me. Thank you. That's great.
Hello, if I could ask one question generally about space exploration. Roscosmos recently announced its plan for the next 2 decades, and in it it's said that it would like to put men back on the moon. As astronauts and cosmonauts, does that excite you, and is it reassuring?
Ну, во-первых, безусловно.
Well, first of all, of course, it's possible.
Скорее всего, человечество, конечно,
And